Hi everyone, this is Jacqueline from She Rises Studios and welcome to Light the Torch ceremony. Today, we honor the powerful and deeply transformative book, Remembering Myself, A Journey Through the Threads of Time by D.K. Hillard. This heartfelt memoir takes readers on a spiritual journey of healing, self discovery, and reclaiming one's true identity beyond trauma and time. For beautifully woven experiences and insights, she reminds us that everything we've been searching for has always lived within us. So please help me welcome the voice behind this artistic book, DK Hillard. Hi, DK, how are you?
Thank you so much. I hesitate to call this a book because it's not a book in the way that
Mhm.
most people think of a book. I see it more as a body of work that's all come together. You know, the paintings, the poetry, the prose. It's all not one isn't more important than the other.
That's
And
true.
so it really is the ways that I have worked through this journey of my life, all in one place. And it's really something to see it all together.
Well, it is really something, and I want to talk to you about this, collaboration of different types of art really inside one place. But before we go there, for the people who don't know you yet,
Yeah.
or may have heard just a little bit about you, let us know who you are, what you do, and what called you to create Remembering Myself.
Well, for lack of another way to refer to myself, I would say most people think artist, writer. I see myself more as a creative visionary
Hmm.
because I don't use just one medium to express myself. It's whatever happens to be the thing that calls to me most in that particular time. So my work is as a creator, bringing inner visions into form in some physical way, and then using that to also open up space for other people to experience more of who they are.
That's true. And you are indeed a creator.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not, as you mentioned earlier, it's not just a book because these are a collaboration, a collection of prose, of poetry, of visual art, and all with one goal of remembering oneself. Let us know what was going through you when you were going through writing or making this uh, art. Um, why did you think it was important to combine all of these different types of art in one book in one place?
It wasn't even a question for me, because this isn't so much a story that I was trying to tell. It
Mm,
was a integration of all of the aspects of how I survived the life that I lived for 70 years.
mm,
I could not say just in words. I could not say just in images. And then the thought of not including the poetry, it's like, well, wait a minute, this is an integral part of how I moved myself through various aspects of my life. So, as I said, I am not someone who just expresses themselves in one way. So, this collection of work had to include all of how I expressed this journey. The only thing missing are the pieces that I literally made with my hands in fabric because I couldn't
yes.
put them in the book. But had I been able to, I would have.
And that is true. You've that and I think the reason, basically it's this particular artwork is it's because you're remembering who you are, you have to give, you have to show what composes you, and it's all
Yeah.
of these elements. And now I was before we got on here live, we were talking about the artworks, and I told you that I have one particular artwork that I really, really like. But one of the artwork that was really interesting for me was the one that was called Bella Rape. And when I was reading through it, it kind of made an impact on me. Can you share, without giving away too much to our audience here, can you share a little bit of who Bella is and her significance in your journey?
Mm. Um, well, there's not much to give away because it's not like the story has some plot that can't
Yes.
be revealed. But to just talk a little bit about Bella, Bella is the name that I won't say I gave it to this aspect of myself. It came to me. The name literally like just appeared, and it appeared to me one morning at on my 4 a.m. walk in the dark. I heard her calling to me.
Mm.
She gave me, I get goosebumps when I think about this still. She spoke to me in words so clearly that she became a living presence in my life. And who Bella is, continues to be, she is like the seed of who I've always been and was always meant to be. But she had to get buried very early on in my life because it was not safe for her to exist as who she was. And at a certain point in my life, when I heard her calling, she was telling me that it was time for her to start moving out into the world, which was why she started appearing in images.
And you mentioned that there was a rebirth that had happened during this particular transformation. What how does it feel going through that rebirth? And a lot of people does not really understand, like, how can you go through a rebirth?
Mm.
So can you share us a little bit more on that?
Um, hmm. It's a little hard to put into words. One reason why I have all of these images. My journey, as I've put together in this volume, has been a series of what I call mini deaths, dismemberments, and rebirths, each one feeling different than the one before. I don't see rebirth the way some people might see it. I have a direct experience of literally feeling like I am not living in the same, I'm in the same body, but I am not the same person.
Yes.
In order for we'll call it a rebirth to happen, something has to die. And so much of what my life and my journey has been about is those phases of my life when I've had to when I've had to surrender all that I knew myself to be, very often the externals that went with it, in order to emerge as someone more true to who I truly am. Each one taking me a step or sometimes a few steps closer to the truth. And that was a truth that I had to bury very, very early on in my life. So this journey over the last 70 years has required, it's like some people call it peeling away of the onion. There are a lot of ways to refer to this, but for me, my experience of my life has been that I have had to die to myself and allow more of the truth to come to light, which is what you're calling a rebirth.
Rebirth is right. That's true. And another factor that you've talked about in this book earlier, the abuse, the trauma, along with the transformation. What role did your art and expression of play did it play in your healing?
Oh, everything. When I was a child, I knew that I was an artist, like I didn't even call it that. I just, like, the minute that I could start to create something, I was creating.
Mm-hmm.
But my creations were not valued by those around me. So for a very long time, I convinced myself that I was not what you would call an artist, that what I had to create was not of value. For my healing, allowing myself to be who I am, bring my visions into form, and then to allow other people to see them was a huge step for me, because I hid for a very long time just out of survival. Art for me has gotten me through, and when I say art, it could be writing, it could be, my poetry, it could be painting, it could be creating fabrics, whatever it is, when it's creation of any kind, has been my lifeblood. It's not what I do. It's very much who I am. We are all creators. This is what most people don't understand. We're all creating all the time. We're creating with our words, we're creating with our actions, with the choices we make. But most people are not creating consciously, or they're creating out of who they think they need to be, or what they think looks good. Or my ability to create from truth, from my truth, and find that in myself has literally saved my life.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And and early on in this book, you talked about the facade that you have, and I think everybody goes through that, where they think who they are based on other people's expectation and perspective, um, versus of being who we truly are, and what this book is all about, remembering who we truly are. Now, if this book could awaken one truth in every reader, what would you want it to be?
It's not I guess that there isn't one truth. We are all carrying our own threads of our own truth. What my hope would be, would that something in these pages, it could be an inch of an image, it could be a line in a poem, it could be a story that I share from my own life, that it touches that thread within you and helps you remember, oh, wait a minute, I remember something of myself, not what people told me I was, not who I thought I had to be, but there are ancient memories that we're all holding in our bodies. That's what this is really about, is awakening that, because our bodies carry them. They're in our cells. And if something touches that ancient memory and wakes you up and says, I didn't remember that, like not like a thought, but like in your body, remember. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm not talking about a universal truth, like it's all the same for everyone. I'm saying my hope would be that there's something in these pages that touches whatever that is for the individual reading it.
That's awesome. I love that. And to close us off here, finish this sentence for us. When we remember who we truly are, we blank.
We heal, we flourish, we shine our gifts in the world, and the world transforms.
It's wonderful. That's so great. Just as great as this particular book is all about. So why don't you go ahead, give this time for you to invite everyone to get a copy of this body of art that we have available.
I would love for anyone interested, and I've actually got my copy sitting right in front of me because I've been rereading my own book. And this is, the cover is my own creation. It comes from a painting called Remembering Myself, which I painted many, many years ago before this was ever a thing. I have signed copies that you can purchase from my website that come from the studio, and they come with a little something extra. Or you can purchase it on Amazon, whichever way. I don't care how people purchase. I would just love for anyone who feels touched, feels called, to just pick up their copy, because you never know what's going to wake you up.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Deborah, for sharing your story with such honesty, depth, and courage. Remembering Myself is really more than a book, more than a memoir. It's an invitation to everyone to reconnect with their truth, embrace with their own journey home. If this message spoke to anyone out there listening to us, be sure to grab a copy on Amazon or on Deborah's website directly and continue your journey to yourself. Thank you again, Deborah, and thanks everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jacqueline.